So thank you everyone for being here. Let's start. So first of all, who am I? My name is Thiago Bellini, as he said. I come from Brazil. Came here to talk to you about Strawberry. Very long flight, I must say. Have been developing Python solutions for the past 14 years, at least. 6 of those were developing GraphQL backend solutions, mostly using Django, but not only that. I am also a part of the GraphQL, the Strawberry GraphQL development team. Such as Eric, which was presenting before me. I am also the maintainer of the official Strawberry Django integration, and currently I am working as a senior software engineer at Parade.ai. So first of all, what is GraphQL? Eric did a very brief explanation about it, but basically, and going over it again, GraphQL is basically a query language for you to that defines how to. I'm sorry, I'm a bit nervous, but defines how your data is structured and how you can fulfill the data and retrieve data from your server. This is a nice picture. I like it to explain the main difference between it and REST, which is basically what most developers use in the backend. So, for example, on REST, we usually will have an endpoint to retrieve a cheeseburger. And it comes with everything, basically. If you ask for it, you have the bun, the onions, the tomatoes, the lettuce, but in GraphQL you can define a query to get a cheeseburger, and you can just get what you want. If you don't want onions, you just don't add those. If you want a vegan patty, you can just ask for it and skip the cheese, maybe if it is a vegan as well. So that is a fun illustration, but it summarizes very well the main difference between REST and GraphQL. So basically, some of the pros, basically, as I said, no overfetching and underfetching data. You basically get what you want, and just that. If you want the ID, you get the ID. If you don't want it, you don't need to fetch it, and it will not come to you. It is totally, it has a lot of type safety. The server is supposed to do a lot of type validation, not only from the query execution itself, just like Eric was talking about, but when you return the data, if you say that it returns a string, it will not allow you to return null or an integer or something like that. It allows you to avoid endpoint redundancies, such as that, you don't need 2 endpoints, one to retrieve a cheeseburger and another one to retrieve a vegan cheeseburger. You can just have one and have different variables, pass different variables to it. It is easy to access relations within the graph. Everything is a graph, so it just makes sense. You can, as long as lettuce can be an entity there. When you are accessing the cheeseburger, you have access to the lettuce as well. No API versioning required. You can just change, this field is called foo. You can create foo v2 and deprecate foo. No need to create another API endpoint for that. But of course, there are some cons. It has a steep learning curve. You need to be thinking in graphs. Caching is more complicated. For a very common REST GET request, you can even use the browser to cache it. While in GraphQL, it's basically impossible. Most GraphQL, you can do GET requests, but most will usually use post, and browser by default will not cache post requests. There are some potential security concerns if relations are not resolved correctly. In theory, you can transverse your whole graph starting from the cheeseburger, you can transverse it all. So maybe you don't want someone to access the lettuce color attribute for some reason, but like if you don't protect it, everyone will be able to access it. And also some potential performance issues if relations are not properly handled. And that's the reason why I am doing this talk. Like, don't need to fear the cons because Strawberry is here for you. A lot of what we do at Strawberry is to make it easy to avoid those cons. So basically, how it works. This is a very simple example. You define your schema. So we start by defining your type. So suppose in this case, like we are defining here a user type, an email type. As Eric showed you, we have like some scalars in here. So the username, the name itself, they are strings. The birth date is a date. There are relations in here. The email, for example, the emails is a list of emails. Which is this other type, and so on. Like we have like a circular dependency in here. Like from the email, you can also access the user if you are accessing the email itself. And with those types, you can create queries and mutations. Like query is the equivalent operation to a GET request, and the mutation is the equivalent to a post, put, delete, or anything that you want. Like it is a verb you can have. Like in this case, we have a create user, but you could have like an update user, a delete user, anything that you want. But like, I don't know how many of you like are familiar with GraphQL, but if you are not familiar, maybe this doesn't make just that much sense to you. But what if we can write that in Python? And well, spoiler alert, we can, thanks to Strawberry. So if we take, for example, this, the user and the email, we can very easily, like you are all familiar with data classes and how they work. So it is very easy to do this conversion, like getting the user and getting the email and mapping those to data classes. And later, we can just transform those into Strawberry types by replacing data class with Strawberry type. It is that simple. Like. Strawberry is basically a wrapper on top of data classes. And like in theory, it is just that, but it has much more, and I'm going to explore more as I go through this presentation. The query itself, you saw the example that I gave there. You can request like me, suppose that you are accessing something and the user is logged in, so me should return either like your user or null in case like you are not logged in. You can retrieve like a user given its username or a list of users. And those are all just translated to Python functions, in this case methods. So you can even see, like, for example, the user, it receives like a username argument, and you can just resolve it here and return. It is expected to return the user object from the data class. The same for the users here. It is expected. It is expected to return a list of users, and you receive here the limit and the offset that were given while this was being queried. The same goes for the mutation. Like it works very similarly to a query. Like in this case, of course, we are mutating the data. We are creating a user. So we are receiving here like everything that we need to create this user, and we are just going to return it, just like the query example. So there is not much difference between queries and mutations. There are some internal ones that I'm not going to go into details in here, but like in theory, they all work very similarly to each other. So how do you query your data later? So you just created your backend and you want to query that data. And you can do that by doing this. Like you can, this is going to be the body of the post request. This is the language itself that GraphQL has to query that data. And it basically says that, oh, I want to get the me field. Inside it, I want the username, the name, the age. And also I want emails. And from emails, I want the email and is primary, which, when being resolved by the server, is expected to return something like this. So if I am logged in this backend, you can see that I am getting back like my username here. My name is null because I did not define it for some reason, my emails, and so on. And you can see that it has specifically the fields that I asked for, not more, not less. It is exactly what I asked for. Also, another example for the users, like just for the sake of having a second example, like that one was returning one object directly. This one I am doing like a listing, and I'm just asking in here for the username or the name because I am doing I am maybe populating it in a list, and I don't need that much details. I just need like the username and the name, and this returns me a list of users. So how can we, now that we know the general of how GraphQL works, how can we write general GraphQL APIs using Strawberry? So this is very similar to the example that I had before. I have the user type in here. This is also presenting something new in here, which is a Strawberry field. So you already know about this, but this is new. This is a way for you to define like each field inside a Strawberry type is going to be resolved to something. By default, it's going to be resolved to itself. So if I have a user type, a user instance, when asking for the name, it's going to resolve to user.name, of course, but when asking for the age, this function is going to be called, and what it resolves to, it's going to be returned to me. So in this case, I'm just doing some calculation to check like the age of the user, because I have the, I'm sorry, where was I? Okay. Okay. I'm sorry. Because I have the birth date, no need to instantiate it with the age as well, like the object itself can calculate the age given the birth date. And then I have a query, as I told you, the query is the root where I will do get operations, and I am asking for the user, and I will return it and just instantiate it as a Python data class. I notice that I am not passing the age to it because it's going to be automatically calculated. The same here for just like to show some examples with relations. In this case, we have friends in here. So when returning, I'm just instantiating friends as a list of users, creating those other users, and also emails and creating those as well. So you can see that it is very idiomatic Python using data classes. So this is basic Strawberry doing Strawberry stuff. And now, how can we integrate that with the Django ORM? Okay, so the first thing that we need is, of course, like to expose a way to request the Strawberry itself. And we do that, like everyone that is familiar with Django knows about this. You have like URLs file where you define routes, and you point a route to a view that is supposed to handle those GraphQL calls. It is a single point, when you have a GraphQL API, you don't have a lot of endpoints, you just have one, and that one is supposed to resolve what you passed in the body, just like I showed in some examples before. So that is basically what you need to be able to start serving GraphQL queries. You can see that I'm passing here a query in the mutation, which can be one of those that I defined here, for example. I just defined a query here. So this can be a query that I can pass in here. And of course, we have both views for WSGI and ASGI. Strawberry is async IO friendly, and non-async IO too. So you can choose whatever you are using in your Django deployment. When you first try to send a GET request to it, you are going to be presented with a screen like this. It is just like a playground to help you. You can check your scheme in here. You can make a query, check the return JSON here, just to show how it looks like, and then you can actually start mapping the types, your ORM to your types like this. So in this example, suppose we have like a user and an email, just like the examples before this one. We have a user with first name, last name, birth date. We have email with email is confirmed, is primary, and also the foreign key to the user to create the one-to-many relation from the user to it. And like the first thing that we can do is just to use Strawberry directly. So in this case, we're just going to map the type directly. So we can create an email type, mapping it the same way that we have it defined in here. Also the user type. And you can see that, for example, for emails, how am I solving this? So let's go from the root in here. I have the query. In the query, I have a user. I can retrieve a user given its primary key. So when I call it, I just will do a user.objects.get this primary key and return and instantiate this user type, pass into it the user primary key, the name of the user, its birth date, and inside here, because I have like the user, I'm sorry, I think I forgot to to actually, oh no, I'm sorry, I'm dumb. This is the user's primary key, it's not the email's primary key. So when I'm returning here the emails, I am just like doing an email.objects.filter to get the user emails in here, and I'll as well instantiation the email type. And this is going to return a list. So this is like the most simple way of working with Strawberry, and that's how you're usually going to work with it when doing any fast API, SQL Alchemy. There is like a SQL Alchemy integration, but it's kind of new. So even with Django, you can always do something like this. And in here, I'm just going through details on what is. Oh no, I'm sorry. I am. Yeah. So instead of using like instantiating the type yourself, you're just doing duplicated work. Why not just return the model itself, since it has like a similar protocol? If you try, as I said, like if you try to solve email.is confirmed, and you have the email object from the ORM, you can actually solve it. It's not a big deal. So why not return the model itself instead of having to instantiate it here like this? So you can basically use Strawberry Django for that. So in this case, I am using Strawberry Django.type and passing the actual model to it and doing the mapping. I am still doing like going through each attribute here and mapping it with their correct scalars, but I'll show in the next slide how this can be even better, but this is the easiest way to do this. And what's happening here? We are using Strawberry Django.type to define the type itself, so it creates the relation between the type and the model. Emails is defined as a list of email type. So you can see that we don't have a resolver anymore. We don't have a function that will do email.objects.filter to do the listing anymore. Strawberry Django will basically create a resolver for you that by default will resolve this into a list using the relation itself. The user is assigned to a Strawberry Django.field, which basically will, when it's exposed like this, it will automatically create a resolver that receives a primary key, and you can resolve the user giving its primary key, and the same for the users. Because it's annotated with a list, it will automatically generate resolver that resolves it to a list of users. By default, all users in the database, yes, but this is just an example, of course. You would not probably be going to expose your whole user base in your system like this, but just for the sake of the example in here. But as I said, this can be even easier, even better. So we do also provide an automatic type generation in it. So because we are doing this link between email type and email, we know that is confirmed is a Boolean field. So why do we need to do this again? There is no need to do that. So if you can just annotate it with strawberry.auto, and the integration will basically introspect the model when the type is being created and annotate it with the correct annotation. For example, a char field is going to be annotated with a string as a string. A char field that can be set to null is going to be annotated with a string or none, and so on. So what else can the Strawberry Django integration do to facilitate your coding? So the first thing is, I already told you about this, but it acts like the Strawberry type acts as a protocol for the model. So when you return the model, and as long as the field that you defined matches the name of the field that you have on the model, it's going to be resolved correctly. It has automatic resolver generation, as I also showed you before. You can, this is always going to, you don't need to worry about resolving the user's emails unless you want to restrict it. And I do have a good example that is coming soon in this. This is where it starts to get more interesting. You can, for example, filter results. And how do you do that? Also defining other data classes, in this case, Strawberry Django.filter, which is, we'll use the same syntax that we use to define types. This is a very simple example where I am defining a user filter that can receive a primary key. It is using the auto as well, but since it is linked to the user model, it knows that this is a primary key field, probably a big integer field, but if it was using a UUID, it would map to a UUID scalar. And then I can pass it to the users in here. So what I am doing here is to tell, when you generate the resolver, add to me filters on it, so the user can do filtering using this. The same goes for, it can even be nested, just like in this example. I have an email filter, and you can see that I am reusing, and there is an error in here, I'm sorry. This should be written user filter. so because I can go nested, like when filtering for, if I am querying for emails like this, maybe I want to query for all the emails for any specific user given the user's ID. This is a nice thing to do. And in this example as well, just for the sake of curiosity, I am giving the filters, I am passing to the type itself, which basically states, oh, every time that you generate a resolver that returns a list, add the filtering for me. And what this will do, it will basically generate this query for you, so you can see that this user filter is generating, like, it is not a type, it is very similar, but it is like a GraphQL concept. I'm not going to go into details in here, but it is an input that it can be received as an argument for the users in here, so you can use it to filter it in here. The same for the emails and so on. Okay, here is the emails example. You can see that you have the user filter in here, which was defined in here. Just didn't add those to the same slide because it just gets very big. But suppose it is like in the same file. And yeah, I'm going to actually, because I am running out of time a bit, I'm going to skip this part of lookups. But we can, like, if you have questions, we can talk more later, and I can give more examples in person. But you can, there is a way to use the Django lookups inside the filters as well. This is just an example, like when you're going to query it, how do you actually use the filter? So in this case, I am filtering emails and filtering everything that ends with gmail.com or yahoo.com, or in this case, as I showed, using the nested filtering. I am passing like the nested filtering to the user here and asking, oh, get me all the emails that belongs to the users of IDs 1, 2, and 3. So it didn't make too many sense then, but now you can see how this can be useful. The same goes like this. I'm going to go really quickly on this because it's very similar to filters. Like you can define an ordering type, so as a way for to ask the results to be returned in a given order. It is going to generate this anon, ask or desk, and you can just query for it. And for example, in this case, I was asking for the emails. I actually have like an example in here. I was asking for the emails, and I wanted to like I can. In this case, it is not in the same example, but I can have it filtered by the user, and then ask to order by the user's PK ascending, and secondly, by if it is confirmed or not descending, and with that, I can have like a very complex way of querying and listing emails. There is a way also to generate automatic pagination. You don't have to define any types in this case. You just tell, when you, like for this user's listing, add pagination arguments to me, and we'll just add an offset and a limit to the query, and those are going to be used when resolving the query set. Those are going to be used to slice the query set and do the pagination for you. So, for example, if you want, in the case of emails again, if you want to retrieve the 5th page of a 10 results per page pagination, you can just ask for like an offset of 40, limit of 10, and you just got the 50th page, and so on. Again, this all can be combined. You can filter, order, and paginate at the same time. This is just for the sake of simplicity for exampling. There is also, this is another huge topic that I mentioned before, like security. It is very important for you to protect your fields. Like as you can see in the examples that I showed, like anyone that gets the user can access all of its mails, and that is probably a security concern. You don't want that. Strawberry Django does. Thank you. Strawberry Django does provide a set of useful permissions that you can use to protect some of the fields. By default, you can also define your own. But in this case, for example, I am protecting the users themselves, like who can list users? Whoever is a staff, like whoever, anyone that works with Django knows that the default user has an isStaff attribute in it, and you can, this permissioning will basically just check for that. If the user is not a staff, it will not allow him to resolve this. Then having resolved the user, who can access the user's emails? In this case, just super users. So even though the staff can get a list of users, they can't see the user's emails in this scenario. And also the birth date. Who can see the birth date? Whoever has this permission, this can see birth date permission, which is basically a custom permission created for Django. But you can always use the ones that are already created by Django as they create, I think, 4 by default for each model. So what are basically some additional features that are not going to be covered here, but like the integration is async friendly. You can, as I mentioned, you can use it on the default Django, but now Django is all about async, so you can use it on ASGI as well. The integration also provides some huge mutations, so there are mutations to easily create, update, and delete models that you can use. It does provide some cursor pagination as well. I showed an example using limit and offset, but sometimes, and actually most of the times, you do have a more complex scenario where you want to have more control over it, and you can use cursor pagination strategy for that. It does provide a query optimizer. I'm going to talk very briefly about it. And the debug toolbar integration can, when running sorry? Yeah, that I showed before, you can check the SQL queries that are going to be executed in each of your requests. And there is a Django channels integration for subscriptions not covered in this presentation as well. Like, it is too short to present everything that the integration provides. But like going really quickly now here, some common pitfalls to pay attention. Like the first one is not protecting your graph. Like as I said, like in this case, you are just allowing everyone to access the user's emails. How to solve that? You can either have like a custom resolver for it. In this case, as you can see, if the user is not himself, like the root in here is the user. If he's not himself or he's not a staff user, this is going to raise permission denied. Otherwise, it just returns the emails. Or you can use the permission system that I told you about before. Not thinking in graphs. So in this example, you have a user type. You have a user with emails type, and you are like exposing. This is very common for people coming from REST. Where, oh, I want like to, I have an endpoint to expose a user with the name, and I have another one where I add the emails. There's no need to do that in GraphQL. You can have just one, and like the client decides if he wants to get the emails or not. You can have thousands of fields. As long as they don't request those thousands of fields, it's totally fine. Going to skip this one because I'm not going to have time, and I'm sorry about that. I think I spent too much at the beginning. And not paying attention, this is the latest one that I want to talk about, not paying attention to the n+1 issue, which is something inherited to GraphQL. Basically what happens, because we never know what the client is going to request in this example, I am requesting for the user. So, but inside the user, is the client asking just for the name, or is it requesting for the name and the emails as well? If it is requesting for asking for the emails, you just have an n+1 issue there, because if you have 1,000 users, it's going to make a request to get the users, and then 1,000 more to get each user's emails. We could easily change that by doing a prefetch related. Anyone that works with Django probably knows about this, which is going to reduce this to just 2 requests. But still, this is much better, of course. But we are still retrieving a lot of data that we are not going to need if the user is not asking for emails. So how can we avoid that? The basic solution for that is using data loaders, which is mostly an async solution. So if you are using non-async Django, it's going to be harder for you. There are some solutions out there, but I'm not sure how good they are working. But basically, this works like a promise. When doing the resolution for the emails, you are going to ask for a batch to, please load this user's emails for me, and the other user is going to do the same, and this is going to be batched together. And there is a resolver function that later is going to resolve all at once and return the results to each of the promises that just got generated. In this case, it is actually a future object in Python, but anyone that knows it knows that it is basically the same as a JavaScript promise. But how does Strawberry Django integration automatically solves that for you? It will introspect your query and automatically do .only, .select related, .prefetch related for anything. Oh, 1 minute. Okay. Okay, so unfortunately, I just ran out of time. I'm sorry. As I said, I think I just spent too much at the beginning. Oh, sure. Is there much some questions? Oh, sure. Let's do this. Feel free to reach me out outside of here if you want to know more about, especially the optimization stuff. It's one of the greatest stuff about Strawberry Django. But read me the questions. Thank you.
So real quickly, what are the main differences with Graphene package for Django?
Okay, I'm not sure if I am going to be able to properly reply to that, because I have not been I have been a Graphene Django user in the past, but I have never touched Graphene Django's code. Eric is someone that can probably answer that better, as he is a former Graphene developer. But I would say the main difference is mostly the Strawberry itself. Both integrations, I think, they do a similar job. But the Graphene one just uses Graphene syntax, and Strawberry one uses Strawberry syntax. And also, I think the optimizer that unfortunately I failed to show you, but models apart, I think it is a great job done there.
And there's another question. Isn't the usage of class names query mutation under Strawberry type limitation? Isn't the usage of class names query mutation under this a strawberry type annotation limitation. If that person wants to define more than one query or mutation.
Oh yeah, like it is. Again, there is so much to talk about. There is just no time. I showed some examples where I had a lot of queries defined. Usually, like the query itself is a type. You have one in your schema. It is very common for people to just define, like those are queries related to a user, so it is going to be defined in a user file. Those are related to, I don't know, in this case, emails, for example, and those are going to be defined here. And there are tools on Strawberry that allows you to merge two types to create one. And so everything is exposed together, but still you can have a good organization code-wise. Hope that answers the question.
Thank you. Is there any more questions maybe to ask the old-fashioned way? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.